Okay, hi guys. I have a lot I need to talk to you about, and I'm going to try to fix this camera angle because my computer's camera just keeps flickering. But we got a lot to talk about, and I'm going to talk about my future because a lot is going on with my life right now. And there's a lot that I really need to get off my chest, and I've kind of been holding it back in for a while, but a lot's gonna need to come out in this video, and if I get thumbs down, if I get negative comments, if, whatever happens, I don't care at this point. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. We're gonna talk about my life, particularly. And this is one of those rare moments where I get to talk to you in front of the camera, because this just has to get out of my chest. So, a lot's going on in my life right now. For starters, I like to bring up the fact that I'm going to be 26 in a few weeks. Yeah, I know I'm getting older. Which honestly, it's starting to become a point in my life where I'm starting to mature and starting to learn a lot more about adult things. And a lot more grown-up responsibilities. Since COVID, I've had to learn more about that stuff. Real estate, for one example, which I'm not going to get into this video because then it's a whole controversial issue of, oh, why are you talking about medium home prices? Why are you talking about property taxes? That's going to start a whole debate that I don't really want to get into. I wanted to learn about, other stuff that I'm not going to get into. I've had to learn about banking deposit fees. I know, I don't want to talk about this stuff, but it's come down to where I've been learning the past couple of months since COVID. And the hard knock that I legally cannot run for public office in the state of New York because of my Asperger's, because of my anxiety, because of everything else. In fact, I'm even anxious to do this video right now. But a lot's happened to me in the past couple of months, and I'm going to say I feel that I'm in a much better place now than when I was this time last year. As many of you knew, I got furloughed because of COVID. And it was a very miserable place where I had to do advocating from home regarding transit. And to this day, I'm still grateful. And I know I'm going against party lines, but I'm very grateful for my senator in New York, Charles Schumer, who got the funding for transit. And I know he had ties to the Riders Alliance, but if it wasn't for him, and if it wasn't for Pix 11 for getting my 15 seconds of fame, my life would be a whole lot different right now, I think. Transit-wise. As far as work-wise is concerned, I didn't go back to work until July because I took a temporary job from home. And I'm going to disclose what that job was. I was a technical assistant to my mother's school. And my job was to make sure my mom could load her lesson plans virtually to her students, make sure that her camera was set up properly for her classes, even set up virtual backgrounds, and that job required me to be actually at home until June of this year. So that's why I requested a leave of absence from my jobs. Now, currently, my mom's still looking for work. I'm not going to get into that reason. Let's just say something happened with her school, and we're going to end it from there. So I've been back in my nursing home since July. I first came back to Northwell in October, and I feel personally it may be less of a role in the near future, which I don't want to talk about right now, but there will be a point where I'll have to discuss that. But as far as my nursing home, I know things can get pretty chaotic there. But I look at it from a point of view where things have changed. And certainly there's things that I, want to see changed within a year from now. I'm not asking a month or two. Or the beginning of next year. I'm talking about a year from now, that's going to be more what I want to talk about down the line. But as far as, work, I mean, it's certainly a better place. And in fact, because of the vaccine mandate, I met a new nurse today who's going all over the floors. So that tells you that things are going to start changing for me at work. I want to see more staff come. And I would be very grateful for more of that. I personally feel that in my nursing home job, there's more to contribute, more to give. Versus Northwell right now, it's like, all I'm just going to disclose from what somebody told me, Northwell Health's going through a big corporate restructuring right now. And I'm not allowed to talk about it more because it'll get me more in trouble. But it's impacted me. My old department is now working from home. And I wish they would be back in the office. But there's nothing I can do about that. So I got reassigned. I don't know what my future with Northwell Health's going to be, but again, that's another topic I'll get into another time when I feel comfortable. But I feel that a lot's going to have to start changing for me in the next couple of months. Tonight, I had a long conversation about leaving New York with my personal friends. Recently, as many of you know, I've discussed the $1 million house on my street. And the bad news is it's for sale again. Which is not good news because I was hoping that my new neighbors would stay around, but I guess they're afraid to deal with the declining quality of life when it comes to traffic getting worse. It's getting worse every day. Texas A&M was right that we beat Los Angeles. And many of you know I've discussed my personal pacts with Los Angeles, and I will tell you from firsthand that trying to get from Orange County to Hollywood is a pain in the neck. And this is from personal experience. I will say that even though I bothered my friends about real estate, and a friend of mine just moved to a new house in Garden City, one of my close personal friends, all I'm just going to say, I don't want to go into too much of a detail, but the $1 million house next door to me is the same price that he purchased the house for. And I'm not going to go to a point figure because that wouldn't be, again, I would spark a whole debate. Oh, why am I paying this much in property tax? Why isn't there being a lien? Why am I being capped? You know, that's another debate that I don't want to get into. I really don't. But it got me thinking, you know, what if my parents actually sell where I am right now? What if it comes to a point where they say, we're done, we're leaving, because my dad keeps bringing it up and it really gets me annoyed. I don't want to have to think about it, but my ex-girlfriend was on the call with my personal friends. And she said, and in quote, "Are you really going to want to start all over? You were at home for a whole year. You barely were even able to get your jobs back. Now you just want to give that all up and forget about your real close friends that you've known for years and give that all up." And then she says, forget about the crime. Forget about the traffic. You know, forget about seeing declining quality of life. What's going to benefit you? So, I know I'm going to maybe regret saying this. And maybe I won't. But no matter who wins the election for New York City mayor, I'm going to have to fight like hell to get a leave of custody with my parents. And I've talked to a couple personal people about this, and they've said, in quote, "Well, you're going to have to leave your trust with your lawyer, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to deal with paperwork, blah, blah, blah." And it comes to a point where she says, my ex, "I'm right. You know I'm right. You need to stay in New York because you're not going to start all over again. You're not just going to try to rebuild and claim what you have isn't yours." So, I mean, I'll just mention that just today, a guy comes up to me while I'm leaving 7-Eleven by the nursing home, and he's like, "Hey, you!" And he rides up on a bike. He's like this older guy. I could tell he didn't look like a normal person. Looked like an EDP. So now I gotta go to 7-Eleven on Monday and ask if they have surveillance footage. So they probably do, because they probably saw me running away from the store on camera. So I'm noticing my quality of life's getting worse. But I have to think of it from a point of view. There's the circle right there where I list my problems: crime, traffic, and then worrying about that. Forget about the food bill. I know I'm over-exaggerating about the food bill, but the price of food has gone up since President Biden took office. Which, that can be solved in the federal level. That doesn't impact the state of New York. And I'm sorry to go a little political here, but I'm just saying the way it is. And typically inflation's caused by Republicans. Go figure that out. That's not the point. I could put those two issues there. Or do I put the other circle and put that as a priority of my friends who I've known for almost 10 years? Maybe even longer. In some cases. Do I really want to give that up? Do I really want to say, you know, that's not a determining factor? Then I say yes. Then I say, you know, I give my friends a hard time. And yes, I did discuss real estate with them. And I know they're watching this video. And I want to apologize about that. And I know that I've gone a little bit too far with it. Just because I know I've been too worried about the election coming up literally 6 days before my 26th birthday. They're claiming this is the biggest one in almost 30 years since Giuliani-Dankins. So, I mean, it's like my friends in Nassau, they're in a different place of mind when it comes to how things work over there. Compared to what I have in Queens, it's a whole different story. And I'm going to have to fight like hell to get a leave of custody. Because it's like what the therapist would say. And I'm thinking like one right now. You have to prioritize what's the best thing for you. Delaware would equal isolation. Isolated from my friends. Isolated from culture. Which, yeah, how am I going to go see good music or, you know, shows? Good entertainment. You can't get that anywhere else than New York. And then comes the parks. Then comes, you know, all the oak trees I grew up here in Queens. When they changed the colors. I'm looking forward to that in a couple of weeks. Seeing the leaves change. I don't want it to be the last time I see that in New York. No. And then especially, again, my friends. And I give them a lot of annoyances. And, you know, they'll tell you firsthand. They'll tell you, he does this, he does that to get on my bleeping nerves. And, you know, it's just come to a point where I have to put that in mind. And then I just thought of this now, and I know it's a lot to think about, but I have 2 young cousins who live in Great Neck. What's going to happen if I'm away from them and they need me around? It's like, oh, Cousin Andrew moved away. Why can't he be here? You know, there's a lot to really think about. There's a lot that comes to mind. I just thought of this now. I didn't even tell my friends this. You know, I'll mention the oldest sibling to my youngest cousin. He's going to be turning Oh my God, he's going to be 7 years old in February. And he's going to be eligible for the Pfizer, because for a 7-year-old kid, he's pretty smart. I spoke to him a couple weeks ago, and he said, and I quote, and I'm not going to make fun of his voice, that'd be rude. But all I'm going to say in my serious voice is, Andrew, I want the vaccine. My daddy got it. I want it. End quote. For a kid who's going to be 7 years old and has told me that he wants to be a UPS driver in the future, he's one smart kid. I'll give him that. So I don't want to be away from that. He's getting older. I wouldn't want to have to bear the thought that I'm leaving New York during his most important years of his childhood. You know? That'd be very emotional on that end. And then his sister is going to be 4 in next year. She just turned 3 a couple months ago. Actually, no, last month she turned 3. Right. I think she was born... I don't remember, because I've just been really stressing out today after what happened to me at 7-Eleven. And, you know, none of us should have to go through what I went through today. I mean, I was scared for my life. I thought this guy was going to rob me. I mean, thankfully all my banking information is virtual, which is a good thing. I try to do as virtual as much as possible, which, you know, trust me, I mean, I would have canceled the virtual card right away. Right away if it was stolen. My phone was taken away from me, trust me. I would have canceled it right away. I would have... Thankfully, I had my iPad on me. And I don't know if he would have taken my bag, but... Would have been an awful thing if I got robbed today, or if I got beaten up by an old elderly man on a bike in what used to be my old childhood area in Bayside. So, I mean, I'm scared to literally think about what's going to happen, because I personally think next year is going to be the most challenging year of my life. I mean, thinking about that, we're going to be at the end of the pandemic next year. Especially because the boosters are coming. There's going to be a drug treatment by Merck coming out for the unvaccinated. We're thankfully going to be out of the pandemic next year. I really think we will. But in my personal life, I may end up in a courtroom. I may be dealing with lawyers. I may be trying to tell them, for my mental health, I can't physically leave the downstate New York region. And so be it. If it means bye-bye to my mom and dad, then, you know, that's the part of me adulting that they have to respect. Because I just cannot deal with the burden of realizing that I'm away from my friends. I'm away from a steady job here in Queens. I think it's more steadier than, you know, Norfolk right now. And, you know, it's just something that I can't bear. I would never have to think about. I just don't want to go through it all. And I'm just going to end it on that. So there's going to be a lot more to come. Obviously, you know I'm going to be vocal about who's going to be the mayor-elect. We're only a few weeks away from this election, and I really, really wish people would take it very seriously. Because we've seen what Bill de Blasio has done for the past 8 years. And that's where I'm going to end it on that. So, I thank you for watching. And I'm going to try to be more open in the next couple of months. I don't know how frequent it will be, but it may come down to when it's spur of the moment like tonight. So long and take care.